Okay, so Iceland, as I say, I was there when the investigation was finished, and the investigation said the Icelandic people were innocent of anything. It was the banks and the people who were on the banks that actually committed the crimes. And just a little sidebar, there was an investigation into the housing disaster in America. Investigation, turns out 80% of the criminal acts were committed by the housing agencies, the people who were getting the houses and selling it for people, and about 20% was committed by things. So we're finding out, even with these thorough investigations, that the people who were supposed to be doing things for us are actually grabbing loads of money and trying to put it out like we're the bad people, like we're the ones who are doing the wrong things. But the investigations that are being done now, it's turning out that we're finding out the real criminals. Bingo. Just reminded me. I wanted to talk about a little bit about crimes against humanity. I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about human rights and how there's a lot of crimes against humanity, and I was told, oh yeah, but there's a guy just been found guilty in Den Haag, one of these Eastern European countries. Guy was, okay, that's fair enough, I don't disagree that there are certain countries whose presidents, prime ministers, whatever they are guilty of crimes against humanity. I want to know, why are the people who are financing these, which would, for me, make them a criminal by the fact that they're financing these, why are these people not being arrested for crimes against humanity? Okay? I don't disagree that these people who are being, but what's the word? There's a word for this. Patsy is a word that has been used by me, because that's what these people are. Because the real criminals, the real people who are committing crimes against humanity, not just a small portion. Sorry, I'm not disparaging any of these things, but crimes against humanity. These people have been financing these things. Who was the African leader in the 70s who killed millions of people in his country? Somebody will know him, big fat geezer. Big fat geezer, killed millions in his own country. Who financed him? Who got him to that point where he could commit these crimes? And I'm going to go all the way back to the Second World War here. If you look at it, the people who financed Adolf Hitler are still financing the world today. These are the people who are financing the war criminals, the criminals against humanity. Why are these people not being taken to court? I'll tell you why. It goes back to what I said earlier in the talk. They're paying the governments. They're the ones who are paying the governments. They're the ones who are making it so your government are not working for you, they're working for the banks. They're working for the military-industrial complex. There's a little thing that Seven Suzuki mentions in a talk in 1992. Which is, if all the money that's been spent since World War II on war was spent, if it wasn't even the whole amount, if it just a certain portion of it was used for the benefit of humanity, nobody would be hungry, nobody would not have a home, everybody would have clean water, everybody would have medical supplies, clothing. Everybody would have what we need. If we just spent, I think it's something like a tenth of the money that's been spent on war. was spent on humanity itself, not the destruction of. This is where I'm going to get into my little bit now. We've talked about the real positive stuff, but this is, we need to know this. Okay, we need to know these things. We're not picking on the right people. We're not having a go up until the last couple of years when we're starting to realise, because it's just getting too obvious, that the world is being run by a small group of people. They are not there for your benefit, they're not there for my benefit, they're there for themselves. And I can give you a couple of examples if you want. A new one, Greg Smith. Yeah, Goldman Sachs, Greg Smith, it went viral, everybody knew about him. Fine, good. But if you go back a bit earlier this year, the end of last year, there was another guy who worked for Goldman Sachs called Alexandria something, who also did something. He was on BBC World News, and he does this 5-minute talk, and after about a minute and a half, he says, oh yeah, and by the way, Goldman Sachs does not care about people. All it cares about is money. So if it comes to a choice between giving people a chance or getting lots of money, people go out the window, the money becomes first and foremost. Then a little bit later on in the thing, about 4.5, 5 minutes, he then says, oh yes, to all the people of the world, you think your governments run your country? Sorry mate, Goldman Sachs runs the world. Not my words, this is a man that was checked out, and I'll give you a couple of, one particular group that checked him out was Anonymous, and we all know how pretty good the Anonymous guys are with research and such like, and this guy's a real guy. He's not somebody that's just been put there. He's actually somebody who's been working in that area for a long time. He knows what he's talking about. And as I said, there's Greg Smith just recently who basically just backs what this guy was saying earlier on in the year. I personally, okay, it's a good thing that these guys have come out, but at the same time, we could have done with you a bit earlier, guys. Do you know what I mean? Instead of letting it get to this point where you feel you have no choice in the matter, get your ass out there, stand up and say, listen, I know what's going on. Tell us. Because people like myself who've been talking about this all my life, we got a bit fed up of being called a nutter and laughed at because we said a small group. Well now, people who are part of this group are coming out and telling us that this is the way it is. Let me remind you what this guy said, the one with the BBC World News. Your governments do not run your country. Goldman Sachs runs the world. His words. Right, anyway, enough of the bad stuff. Anybody got any questions you'd like to ask me before we finish? Because I know there's a lot of stuff up here. Check it all out. Check it out. Don't just listen to me. Look what I did, which is research these things, find out. Oh, sorry. One last thing. A friend of mine came back from India earlier this year, and he started talking about Auroville city in India. Young lady called, again, excuse my pronunciation, Sri Aurobindo, also known as the Mother. And she had this idea of building a city for the people, by the people. And what she did, in the 60s, she talked about this to a group of European travellers, to the point where now, in the 2012, she started sometime in the 68, something like this. This city has got 2,000 to 3,000 inhabitants. And once again, it goes back to it being a self-sufficient city for the people, zero emissions, very simple form of life, but they're just starting. And this is where I slightly would say there is a better way, but that's just because I don't think we should lose any of our technology because we want to live alternatively. I really don't, because the whole point of technology, which seems to have gone out the window, is technology is meant to enhance and better human life. Well, it's not doing that, is it? Why isn't it doing it? It's because the companies, the big businesses, when they get rid of a new group of people because of new technology, they say it's because of the new technology. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's why I like Jacques Fresco, because he's using technology to actually, for the betterment and advancement of humanity. He talks about getting rid of all the really bad jobs, which I've done quite a lot of, and letting computers, robots do it. And people go, yeah, but what are people are going to do? Then they're not going to have anything to do. That's when we start becoming more evolved, because instead of having to worry how we feed ourselves, how we clothe ourselves and all the rest of it, that's all sorted, we can then think of higher things. Yeah? Higher things. Things that we should be thinking about instead of, where do I get my next food from? I had to finish on that because I really did get a bit heavy for a moment, but technology is supposed to go for the betterment and advancement of humanity. Yeah? Okay, then can I think of anything else I can put in there? Okay, we'll go back to the Declaration of Human Rights. Please check it out. Please, as occupiers, let's get it up in our Occupy building, our occupying 4 points. Let's get it up, and when people come up and go, why are you doing this, what's going on, you can, this is what I've started doing, because there was a document in 1948 which was specifically written to stop this atrocious behaviour by big business, governments, towards its people. The only people that seem to care are the bottom rung people, the guys who've got nothing else, because those who have not actually been touched by what the Occupy movement's about, and I've talked to a few people who say to me, yeah, but I don't know what you're talking about, I don't see it. I've got a great job, I've got money, I've got this, that and the other. Yeah, but how long will you have that? Eh? How long will you have that? So, as I say, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, try and get into the world citizen as well, please, because for me, when I started thinking of myself as a world citizen, it changed my thought processes. It changed the way I did things. As I say, I give money up. Now when I work, as Alice will prove if you will, I work for what I get, not for money. Because I don't need it. I hate it. I hate this stuff. I'll never use it again in my life. Ever. A little bit of fun. There's a couple of new religions out there. A friend of mine told me about this a few years ago, called the Subgenius. Just put Subgenius. Just put Subgenius in your computer. $30 you can become a priest in it. And is it copyism? Copyism? K-O-P-I-S-I-M-E, I think it is. That's a new religion that's just started. Check them out. They're really interesting. Yeah. Bye guys.